This is the Louie Tee Network.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie Tee? Welcome to Lockdown Coverage week number 15 in the National Football League. Arizona Cardinals at home taking on the New Orleans Saints. Drew Brees came into the game struggling. 6 INTs, no touchdowns over the last 2 contests. That was all about to change. Arizona Cardinals coming off of a nasty loss at the hands of the Dolphins, in which they had an opportunity to win, weren't able to get it done in a nasty rain-filled soaked game out in Miami, which basically put their playoff hopes to rest. Mathematically, neither one of these teams are eliminated, but let's be honest, neither one of these teams are going anywhere this season. And so this was a game about pride. Two teams looking to try to get to or at or above 500. Call it what you want. Both teams did have a chance at that going into the game, but like I said, both of these teams not going anywhere, so it doesn't make that much of a difference. There is one thing, though, in New Orleans, a lot of chatter about the future of Drew Brees, especially after this little bit of a let's call it a bump in the road he's hit of late. His future in New Orleans, of course. Sean Payton, is he on the trading block? You're hearing all these rumors. And, these are the types of things that happen when your season doesn't go the way that you intended to go. And you get to the end and you start limping to the finish line. The rumors start to generate, including, is Brandon Cooks on the trading block? Well, we'll talk about all those things and more in this breakdown, as well as David Johnson hitting the record books and looking to do more damage with these final 2 games in the 2016 NFL season. First and foremost, though, if you haven't already subscribed to the Louie Tee Network, what are you waiting on? Go ahead, subscribe to the Louie Tee Network for more great content in 2016 and beyond. We're changing the game over here. I want you to help us do that by simply hitting that red subscribe button on YouTube to subscribe to the Louie Tee Network. Also, I'm on Twitter. @InTheLabRoom is the Twitter handle. Go ahead and follow me on Twitter. I'm also on Facebook. In the Lab Room is the Facebook page, so go ahead and like the Facebook page. All my social media platforms right there in the box above, scrolling across the screen so you can't miss them. So go ahead, do what you need to do. Like, follow, and most importantly, subscribe to the Louie Tee Network on YouTube. That being said, let's jump into this breakdown of the shootout, 48-41. Saints get it done on the road. This was a surprise to me. Thought the Cardinals would be able to protect the house. It's funny because before this game started, I looked over at my dad and I said, hey, boss, this game's going to be a shootout. First to 40 wins, 41-38 is going to be the final. That's what I told him. Looked over at boss and said, hey, man, 41-38. So I was off by a little bit. Saints got to 48. Cardinals got to 41. But I did know one thing. It was going to be a shootout, and the last team with the ball was going to win, and that happened to be the Saints. Now, they didn't need a touchdown late. They just needed to preserve the win with the football, get a first down, run out the clock, and that they did. So it was what I expected, a shootout. I didn't think that this game would be as entertaining as it was. I thought it would be a shootout, and I thought it would be 41-38, but I thought it would be one of those ones where the Cardinals jump on top of the Saints big time, and the Saints try to rally back late and make it close. Didn't expect this to be one of those tit-for-tat games like it was, because I expected the Cardinals to play defense. That's what I expected, and with Drew Brees struggling the way that he was coming into this game, I thought this was a great spot for the Cardinals defense to flex its muscles, show why it's one of the better defenses in the league despite the record that they have this season, and get a win. And I was wrong, which is what the NFL does to us week in, week out. It humbles us. You think you know, you have no idea. Drew Brees goes off for 4 touchdowns, 389 yards, and only incompletes something like 11 or 12 passes in this game. I mean, he was phenomenal in this, what Drew Brees does. And it's amazing what having a full complement of weapons can do for you. No Michael Thomas the last couple of weeks. That hurts. As much as you want to say, oh, he's just a rookie, it hurts. It hurts the dynamic of this offense. It takes a chunk of the playbook away. And he comes back into the lineup and voila. Magically, the Saints put up 48. They do it on the road nonetheless against a solid Cardinals defense. And oh, by the way, Drew Brees is damn near flawless in the football game. So what a difference a couple of weeks can make. And tell you what, we've heard all the rumors about the Saints. Is Drew Brees going to be back? Is this it for him? What about Brandon Cooks? Is he on the trading block? You still want to trade Brandon Cooks after this game? I'm not sure. Like, what is this trading Brandon Cooks stuff about anyway? Like, I don't really know. Is everybody on the trading block? Is everyone for sale in New Orleans or something? Because every time I turn around, someone else is talking about, hey, Drew Brees, you can get him for pretty much a solid deal, man. You come with the right offer. They're listening. Sean Payton, won't take much to get him. You want him, you can have him. Brandon Cooks, hey, man, we listening. I'm like, wait a minute. Are you serious? Because I know a lot of teams around the league that can use a guy that can put up 7 catches, buck 86, and a couple of touches. He was dominant in this game. I know a bunch of teams that would love to have Brandon Cooks on their squad. I know a ton of teams that would love to have Sean Payton as their head coach. And I still know of a bunch of teams around the league that would take Drew Brees over their current quarterback in a heartbeat and wouldn't hesitate at his ripe old age of whatever he is, 36, let's call him. I don't know what his age is. Would take him in a heartbeat over their quarterback. Wouldn't blink, wouldn't think. So I don't know what the Saints are trying to accomplish. You don't have a quarterback on the roster that you trust that is the future. So it's not like you're saying, well, let's clear the way for fill in the blank. You got a veteran quarterback in Luke McCown, and that's about it. I don't even know if Garrett Grayson is still on your roster or not. Frankly, I don't care. So bottom line is, let's stop with all of the rumors and this, that, and the third, okay? And we've been doing this for, it seems like the last 2 or 3 years with the Saints. And a lot of this stuff never comes to fruition, so chill with that. That being said, Drew Brees was dominant in this football game. They got a little bit of a running game out of the combination of Hightower and Ingram. And Brees was just spreading the football around, spraying these dudes. I think he hit 9 different receivers when it was all said and done. When the dust settled and the smoke cleared and they tallied up the damage that he had done, I think he had hit 9 different receivers, over 380 yards and 4 touchdowns. And like I said, Cooks was a man possessed in this game. And those same passes that Brees missed last week to Cooks, he hit them this week. And that's the difference in winning and losing in this league. You make a throw, and it's a 67-yard touchdown this week. You miss a throw, and it could have been a 53-yard touchdown last week. And that's the difference between winning and losing in this league. Cooks drops an easy touchdown on a 3rd down last week, and they got to settle for a field goal. That's the difference between winning and losing in this league. And they didn't miss anything in this game this week. And the Cardinals helped with some very ill-advised, ill-timed penalties. Not to say that there's ever a good time for a penalty, but it's definitely not a good time for a penalty on 4th down when they're kicking a field goal and you go off sides or line up in the neutral zone and give them a fresh set of downs and allow them to score in the very next play. That wasn't smart. Or you sack Drew Brees, but you clobber him in his head and give them a personal foul penalty and a fresh set of downs, which leads to more points. That wasn't smart, especially when Drew Brees is red hot and he's dicing you and slicing you. You don't want to give him more opportunities to possess the football and be on the field. And the Cardinals couldn't afford to have the type of mistakes that they made in this game. Saints made their own set of mistakes. Brees is hit. He fumbles the football, scooped up by Calais Campbell. He takes it to the crib. There were opportunities for the Cardinals to seize control of this game, but you can't get in your own way with mistakes and penalties and things of that nature, and they did that in this game. Larry Fitzgerald with a fumble. That's uncharacteristic of him, fighting for extra yardage. Ball comes out. Those things happen. And when you're 5-7-1, now 5-8-1, that's the type of season you've had to get to this point. These are the types of mistakes that you're going to make. And so the Saints, they were opportunistic. They created some turnovers. They got extra opportunities because of some Cardinal blunders. And they took advantage of them in this game. And as you can see by the scoreboard, they didn't miss many opportunities. They got opportunities to score. They got in the end zone, and they made it count in this game to the tune of 41-48. And like I said, this defense still needs a lot of work with this Saints football team. Just when you think they're turning the corner, they go out and they give up 41, okay? And it is what it is. You won the game. You'll take it, but a lot of work to be done with this Saints defense. B.W. Webb and one of the safeties getting into it because neither one of them know where the hell each other's supposed to be, and they giving up an easy touchdown to John Brown at the end of the game to make it interesting. That's the problem you have with the defense that doesn't have continuity, and you're bringing in guys off the street. You have a lack of communication, a lack of trust, and that leads to defensive breakdowns that allow guys to run into the end zone unabated and free. So Saints get it done, though. And like I said, Mark Ingram had a little bit of a blow up on the sidelines. It's all good. It'll blow over. Saints get this win, go to 6-8. Mathematically, not eliminated from the playoffs, but again, like I said, neither one of these teams going anywhere, nor should they this season. As for the Arizona Cardinals, the lone bright spot for this team is David Johnson. And we know what David Johnson has done this season. And just to enlighten you in case you don't know, he started out the year with 14 consecutive games of 100 all-purpose yards receiving and rushing. The old record to start a season was 13 by Edgerrin James. That has now been erased from the record books. And now the name that sits up there with that record is David Johnson of the Arizona Cardinals with 14. He'll have a chance to go to 15 and then 16. The NFL record for most consecutive games total, not just to start a season, but total leaking over from one season to the next, is 15 by Barry Sanders. He's approaching that next week, so he has a chance to tie that and a chance to break that in week 16 if he's able to have over 100 all-purpose yards next week. And again, barring injury, I don't see how he doesn't do it because he's such a big part of this offense. The way he catches it, the way he runs it, he's such a focal point of their offense. There's no way that he's not going to have at least 100 yards of total offense if he's not injured. And so if he could stay healthy these final 2 weeks, I look forward to him breaking this record. And it's just a constant reminder of how good this guy has been this season. In a lost season for the Arizona Cardinals, don't lose sight of what David Johnson has done. In a normal year by the Cardinals where they're good and they're competing for the NFC West right now, we're talking about this guy in the MVP discussion because of how good he's been this season. But because of how bad the Cardinals have been this season and how disappointing this year has been, no one's talking David Johnson. Everyone's talking Ezekiel Elliott. Everyone's talking Le'Veon Bell. Don't forget about David Johnson. The Cardinals offensively did some nice things in this game. Like I said, the defense had some plays that they did make, but they gave up many more plays than they actually made in this game, obviously by the scoreboard. A drop late in the game by J.J. Nelson, but they still scored on that possession. John Brown ends up getting in the end zone, but just too many defensive breakdowns for the Cardinals, too many big plays given up, too many mistakes, too many penalties in inopportune times. Too many, like I said, mistakes, fumbling the football, things of that nature. Can't win. And especially against a red-hot Drew Brees, you're asking for trouble, and trouble they found and got in this game as they lose 48-41. But like I said, the lone bright spot, David Johnson, continues to motor along, and the Cardinals drop to 5-8-1 on the season. And then you got the offseason questions. Is Carson Palmer going to be back? Is Larry Fitzgerald going to be back? We'll see what happens. Is Bruce Arians going to be back? I mean, he's had some health issues and scares this season. A lot of questions in Arizona, not a lot of answers. We'll see what happens down the stretch, these final 2 games, how they finish out the season, and then we'll start to assess where these guys are. A lot of veterans on this roster. We'll see what kind of decisions they're going to make as far as their futures are concerned in the National Football League. Let's get to some of your comments for this game. Brian Emerson says, man, if our offense played like they did in this game, we would have had a shot in the division, but we didn't. And it's the Saints, so you got to make sure you take that with a grain of salt. The Saints defense, not very good. You saw that firsthand in this game, but neither was your defense. So Brian Emerson also says, DJ needs 200 receiving yards to reach the 1,000 mark and only needs 1 touchdown to break the franchise mark for touchdowns in a single season. I don't know if he's going to make the 1,000 mark. 200 yards receiving. That's a tall order. We'll see what happens in the final 2 weeks. I mean, he's capable, fully capable, but I don't know if he's going to make that or not. But he's definitely going to get another touchdown. You can mark my words again. If he's healthy, that's done. DJ also tied Gale Sayers for players to have 20 rush TDs, 5 receiving TDs, and 1 kick return for a touchdown. This guy was extraordinary. I used to talk about him all the time last year as a rookie on the rookie wall because he was so extraordinary catching the football and on kickoff returns. He was so dynamic last year. And I think we've already forgotten how dynamic he was as a kickoff returner last year because of how good he's been as a running back throughout his career already in such a young career. This guy's been extraordinary for the Saints. B also says, we might need another wide receiver. Saints want to sell Cooks cheap. Sell him to my Cardinals. He'd be a perfect fit in that offense. Definitely. And like I said, around the league, I know a number of teams that would love to have Brandon Cooks on their roster. So if the Saints are talking reckless with Brandon Cooks, I know a number of teams that would love to throw their name in the hat as well. B says that roughing the passer they called on us was BS. That dude drilled Breeze in his head. So I don't know why that was BS to you. It was sort of like a receiver ducking his head down as he was getting hit, but he led with his helmet. It was clearly roughing the passer, in my estimation at least. B says, I hope we find a way to keep Calais. He may not put up flashy numbers, but man, he gets pressure. One hell of a game. I don't know how you let Calais Campbell out of Arizona. He is such a monster. And again, I told you this when you guys beat us. If you don't want Calais, I will gladly take Calais Campbell on my squad. We could use a player like Calais Campbell. He gets consistent pressure. He gets his hands up in the passing lane. And as you saw, a ball bounces free. He's aware, scoops it up, scores it. I love Calais Campbell. The guy is a menace. He's in the backfield making tackles for loss. He's all over the football field. I would gladly take Calais Campbell on my squad any day. So if you don't want him, I sure will shell out some. I'll make sure I put a bug in the Redskins' ear. Hey, look, man, they over there tripping. We got some capital. Go ahead, slide that man a few bucks, bring him to D.C., see if we can't get him to help us turn around this putrid defense that we got out there week in, week out. Brian Emerson also says, Kerwin Williams with that Wildcat TD. And they've been running that a lot of late, and they've been having some success with it. And Kerwin went in there without one of his shoes, man. He said, hey, look, they're not stopping me from getting this TD, man. If I got to go in here shoeless, I will. And it was good to see him touching the rock. And like I said, they've done that the last 2 or 3 weeks now. So that's something that I think Bruce Arians wishes he would have exploited earlier in the season because they've had success with it over the last couple of weeks. Bossaholic says, this game was like the election. The Saints always win when they are not in the playoffs anymore. Okay. That's the Saints. It is what it is. You know, they can be high octane one week, struggling the next. The one consistent with the Saints is that whatever they do defensively, it's usually not enough to win. That's the problem with the Saints. When the offense is great, the defense isn't great. When the offense is bad, the defense might not be that bad, but it's still not good enough to win the game. And that's the problem. The defense has to play better. We know what this offense can be, but the defense has to be more consistent. That's the problem with the Saints right now. But in any event, Saints get the win 48-41 in a shootout out in the desert, get to 6-8 on the season, still have a chance at getting to 500 on the season. We'll see if they can do that. As far as the Cardinals go, this loss drops them to 5-8-1. 500 not on the table for them. We'll see how they finish out this season, see what happens with David Johnson and if he can break any more records in Arizona and keep tabs on his season and see where he ends up in the MVP voting because, again, he deserves some votes. Don't think he's going to win. Don't think he even stands a shot because of the lack of success by this Cardinals team overall, but he deserves some votes. That's for sure. We'll see what happens there. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the Lab Room on the Louie Tee Network. Lockdown coverage. Cardinals fall in the desert at home, 48-41 to the New Orleans Saints. Remember, we're changing the game. One live feed at a time. I got one more breakdown to go. The Oakland Raiders going to San Diego to take on the San Diego Superchargers. That's coming at you next. Hang tight for that one. See you in a little bit. Have a good one.